This just in, before investing in a fund that holds Bitcoin futures contracts, make sure you carefully weigh the potential risk and benefits. Is this the SEC hinting of this Bitcoin ETF that we've been talking about for months? Like, what are they doing, right? It's pretty much 95% confirmed we're gonna get a Bitcoin ETF, the first ever in history of mankind, Bitcoin ETF happening. And you know, when they get the first one, we are gonna roll out so many more. As you can see here, there's so many different entities applying for a Bitcoin ETF. Guys, pay attention. This is gonna fuel Bitcoin to 100K and pretty much bring the entire market with it. Pay attention to what's going on. In other news, MicroStrategy has officially doubled its money on its initial Bitcoin investment. They put in about 3.16 billion and now it's worth 6.7 billion. This positive feedback loop of Bitcoin adoption is paying off. It pays off so much that if you look in 2010, Bitcoin's price was, 10 cents. Now it's currently sitting at, and this is wrong, it's currently sitting at $60,000, and we are retesting all-time highs for an epic comeback to the market. And this news here, nobody's talking about. Bank of America is actually lowering the max limit of the amount of money you can wire and increasing the fee. You know that when they put these restrictions on payment transfers, Bitcoin benefits, the market is looking good, bullish. Bitcoin potentially to 100K, okay? I've been saying it over and over again. Bitcoin ETF is gonna fuel the market. It's gonna bring the whole entire crypto market with it. Altcoins are gonna benefit greatly. So in this video, we're gonna be going over the market conditions of what's happening in Bitcoin. We're gonna be going over some cryptocurrency specific news, not Bitcoin news. And then towards the end, I wanna talk about an altcoin with extremely strong fundamentals, and obviously for an investment purpose for myself, but also their fundamental shift has kind of sparked, a direction of where I think a lot of projects are going to be going in cryptocurrency. So it could be added to my thesis. Pay attention, keep watching. What's going on, everybody? Alex back with another video. And today what we're going to be talking about is, of course, the news surrounding Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrencies as a whole. I'm going to be kind of pulling and hand selecting the highest quality information for you guys to consume. Now, I want to be very clear with you guys. Before we even get into the video, right now, I'm primarily bullish on the market. I think we're going to be going to 100K relatively soon. So basically, I have a theory, and this is a lot of evidence kind of backing that up. If you appreciate this video, do us both favors. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with a friend. I talk about cryptocurrency, entrepreneurship. I try to educate people on how to make money in this market because I've been doing it for so long, and I don't accept sponsorships by any coin, which allows me to have extremely unbiased and honest research. So if we come over here, I want to kind of just look at the price of Bitcoin. Very simple, guys. I mean, anyone that's looking at this from a very logical perspective, maybe not trying to think too deep, right? Maybe just kind of looking at it. This is an aggressive comeback to retest all-time high. Now, if we look at it from a technical analysis perspective, I love getting all different types of information to invalidate my thesis, to try to, point me in the right direction to where I think the market's going to go. And in general, this whole time, we've been pretty much seeing a lot of, in my personal opinion, big common technical analysis indicators were the only reason to why the bull run was ended, right? Like people were saying it's going to kind of reflect off of, certain zones, like maybe right here. But I've been saying over and over again that kind of my confidence will come from the $57,000 range. I was saying that if we pass that, then I would expect it to break all-time high, especially with macro, conditions of what's going on in the world right now. I think it's pretty obvious that we have enough fuel, to get above this all-time high here of $63,000 and eventually to 100K. I don't think it's out of the question at all. I think the ETFs and a lot of other fundamental variables are happening in the world at a slower pace. I think ETF is kind of the near-term catalyst that's going to bring Bitcoin over. But I also think that there's other countries thinking of adopting Bitcoin, as well as, of course, the big fundamental factor of the world economy coming to a halt and, supply chain issues and inflation and all these variables that take much longer to play out. I think that right there will be future catalysts, but right now it's definitely ETFs. And I think when it comes to sentiment analysis, and we look at this from a very basic perspective, this is an easy comeback story for Bitcoin's price. And I'm going to back that up with a lot of evidence. Also, I think a lot of people are looking at Bitcoin dominance, and so am I, So just to answer kind of like the altcoin season question, I think Bitcoin dominance definitely has to increase, but I also believe it's not going above 50% dominance. So I think right now, just like we've seen time and time again in this market, we're going to need Bitcoin to, do its thing and kind of bring new adopters into the space. We need Bitcoin is the adopting coin. This is where institutional demand comes from. This is ETF approval is not actual Bitcoin being held, but it's buzzing interest around Bitcoin and getting people to be educated about what it is, right? The goal here is very simple, guys. Like anything's good for crypto at this point, even if it's bad, like even if it's negative, if it catalyzes people to research what this is, it's a common sense answer to move towards, right? It's a common sense answer where most people will agree if they've done enough research. It's that simple. The learning curve is the biggest hurdle of Bitcoin. So as this builds, right, as Bitcoin dominance increases, money and liquidity gets injected into Bitcoin, whatever way, right, institutional or not, right, eventually people start to jump into the next best thing. It's a common theme. They're jumping into Ethereum. They're jumping into altcoins. They want to get the next Bitcoin. That's usually what happens. NFTs as well. Look what happened to NFTs. Some of these NFT collectors have gotten more multiples than any trader, like in all of cryptocurrency. Like there's been like 1,000x's in NFTs, right? So that's the common thought always. People are going to jump into Bitcoin. Stable coins is another kind of like regulation, I guess you could say on ramp, right? Central backed digital currencies. But Bitcoin specifically gets adopted. The whole market moves up with Bitcoin's price, and then liquidity gets injected back into altcoins, which have taken market dominance away from Bitcoin for a long period of time. The majority of the time that crypto's been around, altcoins have taken the majority of the dominance. If you look at the chart right here, you can see that we never got back to these levels here of 96% dominance of Bitcoin. I don't think we're getting back to the 68, 70% levels. And I think this 50%, I guess you could say psychological level, will play in a lot of situations. And the point I'm trying to get across here is that if we can get to this 50%, that's where we're going to see altcoin season. We're going to see Bitcoin rise because of these ETF approvals. We get around here and we're going to get a sharp projection down altcoin season. And we're going to make a lot of money, hopefully. I mean, this is my prediction. I've talked about the top 100 altcoins versus Bitcoin dominance for a while. I've studied this chart more than anyone I've ever known. And basically, what I've noticed is that they kind of repeating the trend and cycle, whether it's like inside actors or the market's just efficient. In general, like we're going to see altcoin adoption, and usually it's around these big news events. Again, usually when Bitcoin loses liquidity, altcoins gain exposure. So I'm not making anything new. I'm not reinventing the wheel. Also, in other news, you see Australia's 5th largest pension fund is now open to investing in crypto. This is adoption news. I mean, Morgan Stanley CEO says cryptocurrencies aren't going away. I mean, bullish, right? Mark Cuban says Ethereum has the most upside as a crypto investment. So he's kind of confirming what I believe. And I think there's other coins that might even have more upside than Ethereum, in my personal opinion. But the altcoin market is booming, right? And in other news, you see Putin basically saying we should move like the energy trade to crypto instead of, the US dollar. And it's funny he says that because right now, El Salvador, that's basically what they're doing, right? They're using the volcano to mine Bitcoin, right? So just think about these variables that are taking place and the problems they can solve for cryptocurrency, guys. It's bullish. If we look in, just trending searches, so every day, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, Ethereum, I see it all over. I saw it this morning. It changed a little bit because this obviously changes in small periods of time. But in general, we just see it over and over again. Like it's just in the news. Like people are just being educated, right? This is usually what happens. Also, just to confirm this with on-chain metrics, you can see Ethereum has a huge outflow of Ether from exchanges. People taking Ethereum off exchanges, usually when they take it off exchanges, what are they trying to do? They're either storing it in a cold storage wallet or they're using it to buy other coins on Ethereum with more upside potential. They're trading or providing liquidity. All I know is they're using it and they're not selling it. That's the point. If we come over here to Bitcoin, you can see that it's already doubled in 87 days. I mean, everybody's freaking out. I could remember, even including myself, and I'm human, right? Freaking out the whole time. I took profits and it's okay, but like, you gotta understand that I want, Bitcoin to hit 100K. I really do. And, everybody questioned themselves around here, but look, we're up 102% in 87 days. So very interesting. SEC to allow first Bitcoin futures ETF to trade in US. And, this is kind of like the big news that's bringing up the market in general. Although it's not physically backed Bitcoin, which is what we need in general, it's kind of paving the path for them to be adopted. It's kind of getting their feet wet Hopefully that makes sense. But basically, they're kind of trading it like options, like futures, right? So it'll be contractual. It's a little bit different, but it's bringing buzz around Bitcoin, and clearly the price is reflecting of that because Bitcoin's past 60K as we speak. If we look at Bitcoin UTXO realized price distribution, you can see that nobody's moving their Bitcoin. Supply last moved above 59,500, and only 0.98% of the supply is moving it. Nobody's moving their Bitcoin. They're holding and storing it for the long run. Also, this is really good. By Plan B, you can see clear skies. He's basically comparing Bitcoin's cycles, right? So the light blue and the dark blue are Bitcoin's previous cycles. And then you have the stock to flow X model and the stock to flow model, which are very famous, and they're data science models that I've taught on this channel. But you can clearly see that all three of them are signaling, or all four of them are signaling, that we need to probably grow a little bit more for Bitcoin's price. And these are prediction models, and they're predicting Bitcoin to be around 100K. We definitely do not have a ceiling. I think Bitcoin's going to 100K for sure. I kind of mirror what Plan B is saying here. We also see that there's an adoption of Bitcoin and not gold. One Bitcoin's worth 31 ounces of gold. So the value of Bitcoin is increasing in comparison to commodities, and basically inflation hedges, right? Things that are used as inflation hedges are losing to Bitcoin. It's crazy what's happening. Billionaires are thinking about it. I mean, you guys know the deal. I don't need to break down headline news for you to understand that the adoption's happening right in front of our face. Bitcoin risk level. This is like an aggregated risk. And if you look right here, what he's looking at, an aggregate. So he's taking these, I guess you could say, 4 different variables, and he's aggregating it to quantify risk. Exchanges net flows are 8% of their distribution, accumulation trend 21% of their distribution, market value to realized value. These are all on-chain metrics, and he's aggregating them. 84% of their distribution, long-term trend multiple at 62% of their distribution. So when we're in blue, this is when it's not risky at all. This is what I guess you could say this indicator is calling. And then when we're in red, you could see that this is typically the top. Right now, we're currently in yellow zone. That's currently what's happening right now in the third halving. And he kind of shows this risk model in other previous halvings. So you can see it in retrospect, how it has worked on previous halvings. So right now we're in yellow, which is kind of like medium risk, which makes perfect sense because Bitcoin's at 60K, and doubling that would be like 100K, 120K, right? So it makes perfect sense that we're in the yellow around the 50% range when it comes to risk, which is crazy how that lines up. US overtakes China as the biggest Bitcoin mining hub after Beijing ban. So we see this happening. It's crazy. Like, I don't know what you guys want me to tell you. How quick was that, right? China bans Bitcoin mining. United States is now biggest Bitcoin mining hub. This is the power of decentralization and peer-to-peer technologies, guys. Think about it, right? Gets banned in one country, another country adopts it because it's a get with it or get left behind situation. These regulators, these people in power, they don't want to get left behind, but at the same time, they don't want to be the first to say it to their peers, right? Because they want to stay elected. They don't want to just be that guy that innovates out of election. So it's like they're split right now, right? Think about it. And you can clearly see that this is a powerful currency that's resilient to whole countries. I want you guys to think about it. If we look at macroeconomics, I mean, there's this little video here. We can listen to it together. This is someone advocating for Bitcoin and a debt ceiling. And it kind of just highlights what we talk about over and over again. We're not, crazy. We're not conspiracy theorists, guys. Listen to what they're saying.
Both parties have run up the debt irresponsibly with no plan to address it. So thank God for Bitcoin and other non-fiat currencies that transcends the irresponsibility of governments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys want me to say. She's just saying it for herself. Also, the Bank of England is seeing, the potential risk to their corporations that Bitcoin has. In a speech Wednesday, they're basically talking about the market of crypto asset, from 16 billion 5 years ago to 2.3 trillion today, to the 1.2 trillion subprime mortgage market in 2008. So regulators around the world have begun to work and establish a public policy framework through which to manage the exponential growth of crypto assets. So just voicing more opinions around cryptocurrency is what we need. They're clearly woken up right now. It's kind of like the, cold water splashed on their face, and they're understanding that they need to either, one, seriously oppose this and try to ban it like China, or two, they're get with it or get left behind. And I think the banning of Bitcoin, the case study of let's ban Bitcoin is not playing out good for anyone that does it. China clearly, now United States has a huge revenue stream that is Bitcoin mining that could be sustainable energy sources. It could literally advocate for sustainable energy, right? And change things in a positive way, right? So the case study of, El Salvador and them using volcanic energy to mine Bitcoin, right? Every time someone adopts Bitcoin, positive things happen usually. And most of the time, if you ban or try to stop innovation through history, it's negative consequences. Regulators are thinking that, right? So let's talk about this altcoin that I thought was very interesting. And again, it's not really about the altcoin. I want you to understand the concept behind this, right? Because this is pointing towards what I have been saying over and over again. We're going to be moving into kind of like an interoperable landscape, right? So basically, a lot of the platforms that we are going to get onto are not going to be isolated to one blockchain. You're going to be able to work with like all of the blockchains. And then we're going to see liquidity move in an efficient way through these blockchains and infrastructure move in an efficient way through these blockchains. When you make your app, whatever it is, it needs to be able to connect to every blockchain for you to get the best user base, right? And this is just business. This is supply and demand. Right now, in demand are interoperable, projects, right? So we see this kind of project here, and this is from ex-Apple executive developers and a lot of credibility. Let me just state their credibility right here. As you can see, he worked as software at Apple, BlackBerry. He's a founder, right? VP of engineering at big companies, right? IBM, 10 plus years of leading design across blockchain and fintech applications. Like, there's a lot of credibility here. And what they did is they rebranded Polkaswitch. So Polkaswitch was their original name, which is obviously hinting towards Polkadot, right? They want a parachain slot auction, probably on Polkadot. And I guess you could say their application is cross-chain liquidity. So it's kind of like an aggregator, right? We saw the first aggregator, Yearn Finance, pop into existence. And then we've seen, other aggregators come like 1inch. A Sushi Swap would be considered an aggregator. And what these do is, on a micro level in Ethereum, they were aggregating the information from all decentralized exchanges to give you the best price for a trade. So if on this decentralized exchange, it's much more efficient to trade and you'll get more for your money on this exchange, you could use 1inch to aggregate all the blockchain's data. Now we're getting aggregates in a multiverse of interoperable blockchains. And this is what they're doing, right? So it's very simple. Cross-chain liquidity with confidence, and they're connecting to every blockchain, AVAX, Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, of course. And you can see it in their name that was their original, journey, Polkaswap. If you understand what Polkadot is that's essentially what they're trying to be layer zero. They're trying to get everyone to connect together, but they didn't want to be branded with Polkadot because it's very simple. Polkaswitch is saying like you're native to Polkadot, but you're not. It's a multiverse. Right. So now they're calling it Swing. So this kind of like a 2-in-1 segue. It's like you can clearly see the people that are building with credibility in this market, they're moving their business in a way that matches my thesis. It's that simple. They're moving their business to accommodate this multiverse. So that's probably where it's going to go. You want to watch the developers, right? And if that happens, then, we make money. That's how it works, right? So align yourself with the right decision, if that makes sense. Trade assets on any chain, a bridge to every major blockchain ecosystem. Discover the most efficient trading routes across Ethereum, Polygon, Moonriver, Avalanche, Arbitrum, and Binance Smart Chain. Okay, so actually this is kind of hinting towards Moonriver. We've talked about this before. More liquidity between chains. You guys get the deal. If you understand 1inch, you should understand how this works. They're going to be coming out with a token. They don't have it yet. Maybe they, bid for a parachain slot auction. I don't know. I think it's really interesting what they're doing because look, they actually, congratulations to Calamari for winning the 7th parachain auction slot on Kusama, and they're partners with them. So even though they didn't win the parachain slot auctions on Kusama, they're probably getting a lot of the information that their partner is benefiting from, so they can kind of transition their code, get better at what they're doing for the cross-chain liquidity. So when they take their shot at Polkadot, right, potentially, I don't know if they're going to do this. This is all speculation, but if I was a business and I was creating, a cross-chain liquidity decentralized exchange, I need to know how it would run on Kusama, because Kusama is kind of like the test net for Polkadot. So there's so much proprietary information that's happening there, and having a partner like Calamari would allow me to know what's going on Polkadot. And also the benefit that they get is, no one's talking about this. On Kusama, they have locked up a lot of KSM. So they've contributed all of their kind of like capital as a business, and it's locked up on Kusama. So when Polkadot parachain slot auctions happen, they need to buy DOT to win that one. So companies that are benefiting from the information of their partner but doesn't have their liquidity locked up might win the Polkadot parachain slot auctions. They have the strategic advantage of information and buy capital because they didn't waste it on Kusama. So super interesting. Pay attention to Swing, XYZ. Follow them on Twitter. Understand what's going on. They got a rock star team. They have a very big and ambitious goal. They're clearly making moves, because if you look over here, they have a working product. You could trade on AVAX, Matic. They're working on the Binance Smart Chain, so they're already interoperable. If they get the parachain slot auction, you guys know it's going to be big, and they haven't launched their token yet. So pay attention to their token launch. And the only thing that I saw negative about them is that they really are kind of centralized. They're only giving, as you can see here, community incentives and rewards is 22.5%. You know, I like way more than that. But I don't know. It depends on how they do it. I don't know how they're going to launch the Swing token, but you know, just pay attention to it. The point here is understanding, you know, where the credibility is going and moving your investment strategy with that. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. If you don't, leave some constructive criticism. Subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with it, you will get left behind. And just a really quick announcement, we're doing a massive giveaway worth about $5,000 on my podcast. You know, I'm trying to run a podcast. I want to connect with entrepreneurs and interesting people. It's not just entrepreneurs. It's anyone that's super interesting. We're doing a giveaway. It's going to be talked about in the first 2 podcasts. So in the first 2 podcasts, I'll give you the details on how the giveaway is going to work. It's going to be worth like $5,000, and I don't have a podcast audience. So if you move quick, you know, you might be able to take advantage of this giveaway. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Catch you in the next one.